taking a picture of that.
Oh, you're right. Oh, well. That's okay.
Announce yourself.
Hey, we'll wait till somebody shows up.
Look at that.
Ooh, what?
The Smilex tip.
Oh, yeah, that is a beautiful Smilex tip. I'm sure somebody will show up here in a minute, but you've got, wait, we can do that. You've got Bob and Renee.
A little weird.
And we had a little bit of time off, so we figured we haven't done an herb walk in a while. Yay, people are showing up. And 'tis the season. This is an amazing time of year in order to find Smilex. And so there's the leaf from it. There's a beautiful, it's just a great shot.
I got
Oops,
you.
let's
I'm about to have breakfast.
focus in on that. Oh, well, there we go. That's almost focused. Oh, yeah, there you go. So that's Smilex. This is food and medicine.
Here.
Yum.
I'm not a goat. It really tastes good.
And
That's Smilex, Greenbrier Smilex.
that's Tu Fu Ling in Chinese, where we use it for damp heat.
In other traditions, we use all parts of it. In Chinese, we use the bottom part, which is a food reservoir. It's kind of like a quorum, like it's got a ball on it, kind of like think something like ginger.
So yeah, the strongest medicine's definitely beneath the ground, and those can get huge. You need a shovel to dig those up. And it's funny, in Jamaica, it's called Sarsaparilla. And so it's Smilex medica, and there's another species that grows in Jamaica.
And it's very important to know that, because it isn't the sarsaparilla that is from the mountains, and it's always a source of contention.
And it's not the sarsaparilla that grows in the southeast.
Which way are you going to go?
Huh.
So the Smilex, what it does
let's go
for your
straight, because we can't
body
decide.
is it wicks away inflammation and phlegm. It will pull it away kind of like a sponge. It also has a slight steroidal effect, so it's going to help with that inflammation. It's yummy. It's good food. Here, take another picture, because we're talking about Smilex here.
Oh, yeah.
It's got a doctrine of signature of the urinary area, both male and female.
So,
All species are used
here's
by
a
the
good
cultures
example.
that are around it.
Here, hold the camera for a second. So when she says doctrine of signatures for the lower body, that's what we mean.
That's not a good representation of Bob, I promise you. But that is what he means, both uterus and penis and testes.
Below the belly button.
Absolutely. So inflammation, wicking away any kind of infection, like if you had a UTI, it would be helpful. And it's good food. It promotes urination, not in a drying way. And in other cultural uses, it's all parts are used. Leaf and stem and food, like the tips of it. As well as then in the Chinese and Ayurvedic, the bottom parts are used. So it's a good one to know, especially if you do a lot of outdoor activity in case you were starving and ever needed food.
You know, one of the classes we've got coming up, I think it's in the beginning of April, we've got my Herbal Mistakes class, which is all the different ways that I've screwed up with herbal medicine and what I learned about it, which I think everybody should come to that class. So one of the ways I use Smilex is we were at one of the festivals and we were teaching a class on edibles, and there was another young guy, and he was teaching mushrooms, and I don't feel like I know a lot about mushrooms.
There's more of it, a bunch of tips and
Oh
stuff.
yeah,
to
this
show
whole
them.
thing is covered.
Be careful, snakes.
Yeah, they're my friends.
It's this area. And the
So-
stinging plant is right below you.
Yeah.
You're getting ready to
So
put your
look
legs
at all of that. Like, this is a meal just in one little clump. We could harvest all of that. Yep, that's it, man. That's the Tu Fu Ling or Smilex, various species. Never,
Spa.
Yeah, spa. So he comes and, you know, we were finished with the class, and this young guy, and he was really smart, and he's like, oh, I found this really great new spicy plant, and I thought he knew what it was. And so he hands it to me, and I didn't recognize it.
Try it.
And so, you know, I'm always a little paranoid. You never know what kind of ghost pepper somebody's giving you. And so I bite it ever so slightly and put it on the inside of my lip, and not, you know, I wasn't exploring it on my own, so I figured it was at least edible. Let's go straight. And all of a sudden there's this burning. I was like, wow, that really is spicy. And then after you've poisoned yourself a few times, like I have, there's
Come to our school where we learn how to poison ourselves.
I had the distinct feeling that I was now being poisoned with a calcium oxalate. And it's a very distinct burn. The Chinese describe it as the pain of 1,000 needles piercing your stomach, which is always a good time. So I did a really smart thing. I ran away from the group looking for the antidote, and
not telling anyone what was going on.
no, didn't tell a soul, and just ran off into the middle of the woods looking for this plant that I couldn't find. And I finally stumbled into this little clearing, and the only thing I could find was the Tu Fu Ling, and I knew that it had some steroidal-like properties, that it was cooling,
I just want to show it again for
and
people who are
anti-inflammatory. Yeah, we got a few people who just
so
came
we're
up.
talking about
Oh
this
yeah,
plant
there you go,
right
great.
here.
And I was super happy to say that I just grabbed the leaves, even though we're saying that the root's the primary part that we use. I wasn't about to take the time to find a shovel and dig it up. I was dumb enough where I was. And so I just grabbed up a handful of leaves and started to chew them up and rinse my mouth with those leaves, with the spit and the chewed up Smilax leaves. And I'd say within a minute, the pain, the burning was gone. I grabbed another handful and managed to find my way back to the group and tell this really bad story of stupidity. So, note to self, never eat anything you're not 100% positive.
The questions we get with this plant are, but this one looks so different. This one has variegations. This one has thorns. And the answer is yes.
Yeah, there's a bunch of different species that grow here.
They're all, wherever they are, that culture uses them or uses it for food. And it's all yes. And as a folk herbalist and a wise woman practice, also very much taught that as survival food for inflammation, for bug bites, for even stings, but really infections of the lower jaw. Ground cherry.
Yeah. I don't think I've...
right is a flower.
I saw that, and I haven't seen ground cherry out here before.
No, it's all over.
And as far as I know, the Smilax grows all up and down the eastern seaboard, and very likely it grows further than that.
So we're looking at this on the ground. It's called ground cherry. It grows.
We've never found this out here before that I remember.
It's pretty much prostrate across the ground. Like, it doesn't get too high.
We've got a bunch growing at the school right now.
It is nightshadey. It does have a paper around it. I don't know if it falls into that Solanaceae, but it's probably in the order.
No, it's definitely some related to the Solanaceae because it has a paper covering over the fruit.
So I've learned it, and Bob, I don't mind you contradicting me, but I learned it as similar to a gooseberry, and that its reaction to it can be slightly considered, now the Solanaceae takes it out of it, but an adaptogenic effect. That I've learned it for feeding the nervous system slightly, helping you adapt to stress, in some cases helping with your digestion.
I know it primarily is digestion, a mild diuretic effect, and specific to helping with inflammatory gut issues, so long as you don't have a sensitivity to nightshades, because in which case it will cause inflammation.
It has a little round kind of...
Yeah, there's a round cherry in it.
Like a yellow tomato looking type of cherry in it, and it does look like gooseberry.
Right, and so I know the fruit for that. And I want to say the diuretic effect, prostate and just kind of increasing urination is from the root.
That's what I was going to ask you. What parts do you use?
Yeah, and I don't know of a use for the leaves, but I'm sure I'm just forgetting something.
Well, I know a use for the leaves. If you boil them in like Caribbean culture, if you boil them, they'd be used for... boils and lesions.
Oh, yes, actually. I have heard that for topical. I always think internal. I always forget topical.
So anything that's septic on the outside, like it's starting to get gross and kind of weepy, or something that needs to be a wound wash, something to that effect. And so left, right, straight.
Yeah, let's just go straight.
That's where your nut is, your ground nut.
Oh, no, we haven't crossed over the creek yet,
I know it's that way. The creek is that way.
All right, we'll try that way.
I torture so many of our students out here that this is where they always get lost and don't know where to go.
But didn't you want to show people the giant armadillo?
Okay, go to the armadillo if you want to. It's right there. Go show them the armadillo.
Come on, if you haven't been out here, you have to see the mutant armadillos.
Made out of trash.
No. They're from a ancient civilization's radioactive accident.
So we're eating plants and teaching plants from a radioactive site, according to Bob.
Totally.
Okay, so
the
as
half-life's
I'm walking
already
around,
gone
I
by.
want to tell you I'm seeing tons of poison ivy as well.
Oh.
And poison ivy has a really bad attitude about us calling her poison ivy. She's a goddess, and she's got lots of things to talk about.
Look, there's the armadillo.
Oh, look in front of us, all made from used car parts or city parts. These are bumpers on its rump. This is a manhole. So this is not one of our herbs. It might be one of the Chinese herbs.
This is a good snack. They come in their own cooking pot.
It's all made by used car parts.
We love this thing.
Yeah, it's pretty cool. Don't get near the water, Bob. There's a gator right there, is there?
I know, there's a beautiful little gator. Look at that little baby gator.
So Bob, go tell us about the plant that's down there by the gator so the mom can come up and eat your face.
Totally.
So,
hi, little baby gator. You may be able to see him just on the outside of the shadow.
I'm seeing an explosion of poison ivy all over this area. Stay away from the gator, Bob. Where there's a little one, there's a big one. Don't be a jackass. Stay away from the gator. All right, come on, leave her alone.
Look, there's a little baby gator. Don't you just want to hug him and kiss him?
I do, but it would bite your lip and you would yell and cry, and that would be embarrassing on camera. So come on. So armadillo. And then there's little cheetahs on the ground here.
Oh, we'll find a better cedar to talk about.
We have our camping trip.
Oh, yeah.
Coming up.
I was going to say, yeah, for our senior students and for the Chinese students
We have an overnight field study, and so we're looking at all the things that are blooming. Let's talk about Fleabane, even though it's not, it might be the right one, but we're not sure. So this is a type of Fleabane.
Oh, we've got some...
and lyre leaf.
Yeah.
So let's look at this real quick, and we'll talk about this a tiny bit.
I'm going to come over here so I get a better shot.
The herb of commerce is Canadiensis.
Ergenon.
Canadiensis. And so I don't know what this one is, but this is what typical Fleabane looks like. It is, for indigenous use, known for things like extreme pain and trauma. I myself personally didn't grow up using it. I grew up using it as a bouquet for my Barbies to get married.
Totally.
Yep. But other than that, have not. Its leaves indicate that it would really help with digestion because they're bitter and they're sticky. They have lots of resins and oils in them. And anytime we have a flower with resins and oils, it's usually really good in digestion and really good in trauma. So that would account for the pain and or PTSD.
You know, one of the things I saw, this came up on one of the edible plant ID pages the other day, and they were talking about how this was not edible. And I think,
not food.
And so I think it's important to make that distinction that there's kind of these different categories we think about plants and plant medicine. And there's those things that are primarily food that we can, without a whole lot of thought, enjoy and eat with, nice score. Nice, add to a salad, eat it fresh or raw, and nice flowers on that. And there's other things that are strictly medicine. Yeah, exactly. And that we have to be careful that we know how to use it if it has to be processed. And so the Fleabane is definitely one of those where it is good medicine. It's commonly used.
Because I think there's light here that will shine on there if you move. Yeah, maybe I'm wrong.
Well, that works. So. You can see it. And so always, just because we talk about a plant and its use, doesn't mean that you should go out and just snack on it willy-nilly.
When Bob and I do these things, we try really hard to stick with the ones that you might give yourself a really crappy rash, but you're not going to do anything really too bad. And so that is a good point, that if we say it's a medicine, it's a medicine. If we say it's a food, it's like, yeah, you can't really get in trouble with it. The plant that Bob's showing you right now is called lyre leaf sage, just like sage.
Salvia lyrata.
We're going to talk about a certain form of it. I don't see it, so I'm going to pinch a leaf so that you can kind of see what Bob wants to talk about with it. This is known as cancer weed. One of the indications when you choose it is you look for red in the leaf up here, but you see how red that is. I don't know if you can see it on camera. I'll put it on my hand so that you can tell how red that is. That's what we call a doctrine of signature.
There, this shows the red stem really nicely.
The blood. So lyre leaf sage, its common name is cancer weed, and I would have no hesitation using this as a poultice for skin cancer or an eruption. I also wouldn't hesitate, especially if I did not have an apothecary nearby, putting it in a formula. It definitely can be toxic. It's definitely not food. But that being said, an amazing strong medicine that's written about in many, many cultures, many times over. both Bob and I, excuse me. Thank you. Oh, both Bob and I very much have employed the help of this plant and had it show up wonderfully for us. Behind you is a flower in the sunlight too, if you want to see it. So understanding that, again, with this plant, if you rub it and you touch it, you'll see not only does it have a fine fur on it, which you might be able to get super close up in the camera.
Yeah, you can see
Not
that,
only does it have this fine fur on it, it's very sticky, it's full of oils. And when you start out class with me, I like to talk to you all about generalities that we then will tighten up as you go forward as a clinician. And one of the generalities is if you have a sticky leaf, if you have a lot of oils, more than likely this can be used for some kind of topical trauma, like bruises or a wound. And so I'm sitting here telling you from an indigenously taught side that this is something that we definitely would put on something like skin cancer or a boil or something that we didn't even know if it was malignant or benign, and we would have no problem washing it up with this. So I think it's something that's easy to explore, because another thing is it's beautiful and people just have it like a weed out. It would be one of those ones you try to cultivate if you had it in your yard. If you find it with red in the veins, that's the most potent.
With the red on the leaf.
Yeah, like in the vein of the leaf and on the leaf. That's showing, this one's starting to creep up there. That's showing that it's the strongest medicine for moving through your blood system, hunting a imbalance like a cancer or something that was causing your body to be slightly imbalanced. I don't know if you care, but that's a tiny ragweed, and I just sneezed. Do we want to talk about that? You want to go?
Oh, let's find a better one. No, Renee found a really cool plant over here that it 'tis the season.
I'll hold it for you if you want to talk about it. I'm crawling like an animal. It's easier for me.
So, it doesn't quite.
Poison ivy?
No, I don't think so. Might be.
3 leaves.
Yeah, I know. I was laying in it too.
Okay.
See.
I've never had poison ivy.
Let's keep it that way.
I call it a goddess.
So Renee saw this one. I was looking at something else.
Here. You want me to hold it? You want
So this is what's called bull thistle, and this is some cool food and medicine, but it also is a rough little booger to work with sometimes.
It's outrageous.
Yeah, and it's funny. I was just asked to comment for an article. A writer called me. He was doing a story on milk thistle, and when we talk about you start researching thistle, milk thistle, and all they talk about is milk thistle. And the reality is, although it's a super popular herb, it's very well researched and helpful for a variety of things, in particular to help the liver, help to preserve glutathione, which is helpful in detoxification. It's protective to the liver and so forth. It originally only grew in a very small area of southern Europe. It just happens to be the herb that became the herb of commerce, and there was a lot of research done on it. But when we look at thistles, like this one that's growing here in Florida, there's a long tradition of use in every culture for thistles.
I feel like this is one of the ones that is like, if you grew up in that area, then yours is the one that's the right one, and everybody else is full of crap. Yeah,
screw the milk thistle.
Yeah, we've used all thistles of all kinds.
And it's funny, this one actually, even though same genus, different species, it's a different genus, but still a thistle.
Amazing plant.
There's a couple things. This will get a beautiful purple flower on it, and we would be able to harvest seeds from this.
Right up there.
But we've grown milk thistle down here as well. It doesn't do amazingly well. It's pretty
Tell
easy
me
to
the
grow.
difference between a boy thistle and a girl thistle, like Salgi and Dodgy.
Oh yeah, so it's totally different plant, but still considered thistles. The sow thistle is, I would be able to grab these leaves and I could grab the stem. If I did that to this, I would come back with a bloody stump. You'll also notice.
So this would be the bull.
This is a bull thistle. The sow thistle, the way the leaf attaches to the stem is different as well. It clasps around it, and we might find them.
You guys switch the 5K course around.
No.
No.
It seems different every time.
Well, maybe you enter in a different place. If you always go to the right when you come in, it will always feel the same. If you always go to the left, it will always feel the same. But if you start in the middle, you're going to have a choice of left or right.
Yeah, because I don't remember going around near that other statue over there.
Yeah, so there is all the changing being done, but generally it's permanently marked. Yeah.
I love it.
Thank you. we're in a public park and everybody assumes that we're in charge and we know stuff.
Yeah.
And so that was just somebody asking us about something.
And Renee would just make crap up that she didn't know what she's talking
Oh,
about.
I totally know that. What, did I sound like I didn't know? You believe me. Everybody believes me. We're all good. It's only a lie if you don't believe it.
So one of the things that's always interesting, although the silymarin, which is, I'm not a big fan of reductionist herbalism.
No, me neither.
So the idea that there is a single active ingredient in a thistle plant or a milk thistle plant or a bull thistle plant that is the reason that it's protective, I'm not a fan.
So what are the other 10,000, like just throw away? Like it's ridiculous.
And so one of the interesting things is, the reality is we can isolate silymarin, which in reality is, I think, about 6 or 8 polyphenols. We can isolate it and get similar actions as if we use the whole seed. And the seed does contain more of the silymarin, which seems to be the hepaprotective or liver protective properties of the plant.
But do you feel, based on the study, like you just had to do that report, like that interview, do you feel like that's the case in all consumption of all seeds? Like if you eat broccoli seeds, are you eating a bunch of little broccolis?
It is unique to the thistles.
Okay.
And the reality is they haven't done a lot of research that I could find on the other thistles. I'm sure it's out there, but I didn't spend that much time looking for it. The interesting thing is we should be consuming thistles as food. A lot of people don't know that artichoke is the flower of a thistle. And has a lot of the same hepaprotective properties. It's good for assisting with the reduction of cholesterol.
And that's the flower part.
Yeah.
So do you feel like we're getting a large amount of help because it's the flower that has all the different parts that are starting a new plant?
There's a good argument that the flower has a little bit more, but the reality is the leaves and even the root of this is consumed as food and medicine.
I think from a folk herbalist standpoint, the only adjustments we have to make between thistles are if one's stronger than the other, just dosing appropriately.
Yes.
Yeah, and so I believe that what you're saying is the truth.
If you can't tell, those are some sharp ass thorns. And so if we're going to consume this for food, we usually just take a sharp knife and we can cut the thorns off and just use the center stem of this,
which looks really juicy.
It is, and I didn't bring a knife with me. I'm not being a good Boy Scout today.
Well, it's hard to walk in here with a knife.
Yeah,
it's a public place,
and so, but it should be cooked because even this center stem has some hairs on it. The one part that we can harvest and eat cooked or raw, though admittedly I like it cooked, is there's a lovely taproot on this. And the taproot can be cooked up kind of like a burdock or a carrot, and has and it's not as bitter as, say, the seeds or the flower or the leaves on this. So it has a very burdocky, carroty kind of flavor that's great. And it's funny, when we took a group of students to Scotland a while back, like 2-3 years ago, and one of the things that Renee, I think, was fascinated about is there was thistles everywhere. And when we look at the English and Scottish crests, they frequently, thistle is well represented for their rings and in their folklore.
I was going to say the bonded marriage ring that's considered to be a clotter ring, and we also give it to sister wives to be married to another person, as in like showing your commitment or partnership. It's now replaced with 2 hands around a heart with a crown. Well, that heart was originally a bull, and the crown was the top, and it was the head of the thistle.
So, one of the things that Renee always likes to talk about is the idea that when we see those purple colors, and most of our thistle flowers are a purple-violet kind of color, that it has nervine properties. And this one, maybe we'll find one with a flower coming up. This one's
we lucked
just
onto
about,
this. Yeah.
It's a little early in the season. And so this purple flower, we think, well, where's the nervine property? And so I always like to go back to Chinese medicine, because a lot of times we can explain things that aren't as clear, because we don't think of this as a nervine, we think of this as a liver herb, and that it's cooling, assists with detoxification, that preservation of the glutathione, helps with that 2-stage detoxification of the liver, and even is protective and regenerative to the liver. So in Chinese medicine, when we say the liver, we are talking more about this energetic idea, and the liver tends to get stuck or gets heated up. And when it does, we specifically see emotional issues of depression, irritability, and anger.
I didn't even think about that.
And so this being so focused on the liver, its bitter flavor, helping with bile secretions as well, and it helps with phlegm.
How about the bitter being directed towards the heart?
And an aspect of the heart as well from the bitter flavor. And I always find the bitter works for both. You know, we find current research is showing there's bitter-based receptors on the heart that really leads to who the heck made this crazy stuff up. And with the heart, we see anxiety. And so this idea of this cooling herb that is protective and helps with preservation, we could easily see that it's of benefit from a spiritual, emotional standpoint as well. And I would say the flower even more so. When we talk about the structure of this plant, the root and the leaves, I could argue that that's good for the structure, the physical entity of the liver. But if we were to harvest that purple flower as it came up there, that is the more ethereal parts of the spiritual aspects. And I think that the flower itself would probably have greater benefit for the emotional issues or spiritual issues that we associate with the liver and the heart.
We should go on to another plant, but real quick to go on what you were just saying, if we taught this like a doctrine of signature, that would be your spine. The bottom part with the whorl would be your liver. That would be your spine, and the crown would be your crown. And so it fits the medicine use for sure. 100%. So I'm gonna have you get up, but as you're getting up, I'm gonna add a monkey wrench.
Oh lordy!
Isn't that a crooked?
Yeah, I'm not even going to pretend.
Okay. I just thought it was important. I also thought it was important that you kind of chasten yourself of messing with that alligator, because there's a sign right there that says, "Do not molest the alligator."
I did not molest it. I said good morning to him.
Stop messing with the baby alligator.
I merely said hi. He didn't even twitch.
So, for any of you who sign on after this and don't know us, that
we never introduced ourselves.
Bob and Renee from the School of Herbal Studies, and we're in St. Petersburg, Florida. It's like the west coast of Central Florida. And we're at a park that tries to preserve and do everything as well as possible.
Let's go out to the creek.
Yeah. And so we come here, especially because we have a very large school and our students come here, and we try to make sure, as the seasons are changing, that we walk through and show the differences in their changes. God, the poison ivy is going kooky. So that everybody understands the differences in our medicine.
Looky.
Betony.
Wait a second, let me show off the poison ivy. For any of you who don't know, if you ID no plant other than this, you did really well. But this is all poison ivy. Leaves of 3, leave it be. It frequently has a red stem, the 3 leaves. It'll sometimes have a fruit. So Renee is digging like a dog and probably getting in the poison ivy, and she's looking for this plant right here. This is Florida Betony, Stachys Flordada.
It's rattlesnake root.
It's food and medicine. I would be shocked. I'm surprised it's this far inland. Oh, I thought I saw a root.
So what I'm trying to find is a tail right there.
See that little...
So there's another one right here, so I'm going to see if it ran. Oh, there's that.
So this is interesting because it's in the Laminaceae plant family, so it's in the mint family. And, you know, we're used to having aromatic leaves when we start talking about any of the mints. This is one of the few mints that has no scent to it whatsoever.
Oh, look, it's a field in the poison ivy. I can see it.
Yeah.
We can come back to this. So what we're looking for, you guys can look it up.
It's still too early in the season.
Yeah, what we're looking for is on the end here, it's going to have like a bulbous rattle shape that looks a little bit like a rattlesnake root. This plant, oh, it smells so good. This plant is something that we consider to be a direct healer of the nervous system in all parts. This part on top is food, the rattlesnake is food, the rattle part. This is beautiful. This white top tastes just like this sweet, slightly spicy radish. It spins off like the nervous system, so I don't know if you can see on my hand how it has these rootlets at the node of the root. So it looks like your nervous system. Everything about it is a yes. You can eat it. It's expensive and
scalloped leaves, opposite scalloped leaves,
click.
Square stem, but no scent at all. No volatile oils. So we use this as a nervine.
Massive repair to the nervous system, 100%. And it's a food. It's something that is a traditional custom food here.
And I'm excited. We've got a really good patch of it going right now at the school. And so in another couple of months, we'll be full of roots. we'll really be able to harvest some good stuff off of that.
If we come into another patch of it, because we know where there's a secret patch here, I'll start digging some up and we'll see. We'll do a better monograph on it for sure.
And, you know, not to tease any of you who might be watching from further up north. I know there's a big front coming through and some cold weather.
This is our winter.
Yeah, this is winter time in Florida. Oh, look at all of that.
Spiderwort.
Spiderwort, you know, we talked about it, but we did that on whatchamithing. Yeah.
I'm gonna cross over.
Yeah, let's cross over there and talk about that.
Talking about
But
that field of purple you can see.
But believe it or not, we're in the city of St. Petersburg right here. This is a city park. Yeah.
So what we're looking at is this field of purple. All those beautiful purple flowers that you're seeing are something called spiderwort.
There's some nice patch right here in the sun.
Name. Spiderwort is best known for its demulcent, emollient, and mucilaginous properties. It's a food. All parts can be eaten. It has a lot of texture and juice. I'm gonna pick one that's not blooming so I can show them.
And it's favorite bee food. I got a bee.
It's a great pollinator.
Look at that's a very happy bee. He's bringing back some bounty to the hive.
Yeah, these are beautiful plants and they're super open, so it means it's easy for the bees to get to. The property we're looking for is that. See that goo?
That slime-maliciousness.
Right there. That is essential fatty acids. That's healing. That's nourishing. Anything digestive, bug bites, any inflammation, a burn will easily, it'll cool it right down. It's restorative to those tissue states. So just eating it, like just eating, like I just took a bite of it. It's yummy. It's like eating a cucumber or something. It's yummy. It's super good. Those flowers sprinkled across a chocolate cake, a cacao cake, makes an amazing nourisher and a little bit of moisture to something that's slightly drying. The purple indicates that it's restorative to our nervous system and helpful to our nervous system. So of course we can assume it's those essential fatty acids. From a folk standpoint, like a deep Florida knowledge standpoint, this definitely was our food. And it's something that we would have needed to know for things like stings, bites, burns, abrasions. It's our medicine as well. So it's a huge ally. If you were to put this into a tincture, you would have a gooey, rotten mess, which is always good for us. It's something to cool down that inflammation of Florida. I keep seeing these baby pepper grasses, so we'll try to find
we'll find a bigger pepper grass.
But I eat it all the time when I'm out just because I love it. It tastes good. It's a good food to know for foraging. It also sprouts really well, and you can make a good decorative area in your house and your lawn. It's beautiful flowers and good pollinator. It's one that everybody should know from a foraging aspect. I'm still eating it to tell you how good it is.
It's better than a glass of water.
Well, if it was bad, I would have thrown it down.
We only got a couple folks on, but if anybody's got any questions, feel free to shout it out. And if you don't know, we've got a 2-hour free class tonight on digestive health.
I know that you don't know
but you do need to register for it to get the Zoom link. Yeah, I know. And
so free class on digestive health.
And then this weekend, and there's still space, I think both in person and online, Renee's doing, it's a 3-part series on flower essences, but each, with the first class is a standalone so that you're able to utilize flower essences. And flower essences are kind of cool. They are a type of homeopathy, but really focused on mental emotional health. And it's something we use regularly in our clinic. Our students use it.
We use it for dogs.
And dogs and cats, which is just cool. And then if you do the whole 3 series, 3 weekends.
It satisfies the criteria for certification, and you can be listed on the FBS website, which is the North American branch of Bach.
And one of the really fun things, I think it's in the last class, that we look at how to utilize that specifically for acupuncturists, but also for people to be able to put it on acupuncture points.
So we body map and we go to points, and you can see where you can use it on different points. So which way do you want to go?
I don't know.
It's adventurous.
You want to try to the right? I was looking for a cattail to see if one was up, but
none are up. But
so we'll see. I can still talk about it.
Cedar.
We'll find something good along here.
We always talk about Cedar and Bidens, but I feel like
butterfly.
People never remember it. Oh, look at that pepper grass. You want to grab that? Or go
hey,
to the next
Curtis,
one?
what up, bud?
You want this pepper grass?
Oh, yeah, that is a nice pepper grass.
Watch out for the
Yeah.
animals who live here.
They're our friends.
Because they'll eat your face.
So this is pepper grass, and this is Lipidium Virginicus. This is also a Chinese herb. We use this in the Chinese medica. Ting Li Zi. For any of you who are acupuncture students, this is something that is in your medica book. It's specific for a dry cough, in particular with constipation. And it's a type of wild mustard. And because of that, we can also, when we start to look up, when we start to think about its mustard plasters used in Western and European herbal medicine, this was put as a plaster, a topical application on the chest for a stuck phlegm, stuck cough, and it would cause a secretion of any of the mucous membranes to help to bring that out. And it's kind of the same thing, except the Chinese use it internally. But I'm going to say it's also just super yummy. All parts of this plant can be used. And a couple of years ago, we had one of the Cherokee elders was visiting here in Florida, and we were kind of doing an impromptu herb walk with him, and he knew this plant, and he was from the western band of the Cherokee, and so we were even more surprised that he knew it, in that he said that this was our equivalent to shepherd's purse, which is a stop bleed plant. And so we thought he was just making a mistake, and then it looked a little bit, and when we did a little bit of research, we found out, oh, no, there's actually a historical reference of using this.
He was giving me a hard time. He was drilling me. He was doing it legitimately. He was trying to see my value and worth and respect for the plants. So he's asking me questions. So I really did think that he was like messing with me.
Right.
Trying to see if
that
I
would not be
correct him.
abnormal.
Yeah, if I would correct him and say the right thing. And I got home and researched it top to bottom. I was like, whoa, would you look at that? Like, there you go.
So for something, hopefully we won't get deleted for this, but, something like COVID, where we have a dry, sticky cough, this would be a great addition to any kind of herbs or supplements that you were using. And honestly, I just think it's super yummy. The seeds and the leaves added into soups and stews as a flavor, and just really gives it a nice kick. And as much as I like spicy food, I'm always like, oh, I hope nobody puts those ghost peppers in there or anything. And the reality is, the very first bite of this, especially the seeds of the leaf, first bite's almost sweet. It starts to ramp up the spiciness, and you start to go, ooh, I hope this doesn't get too spicy. And it's always so interesting. Instead of like burning for like 10 minutes the way some of your hot peppers will, this like starts to ramp up. Before it gets too hot, it stops and completely vanishes. And so it's not one of these spicy things that we have to be afraid of.
So it's important when we talk about foraged food that you understand that your nutrient density is way greater in foraged food because it's not monocropped. So all of the companion plants that are around it are dying off and feeding each other. And so the flora and fauna is much greater. That learning just to forage a tiny bit of your food and medicine will go a long way to impacting your general health, plus it's free. Like, why would you want to not consume money when you didn't have to?
You know what I don't think we've talked about much, and I'm seeing a couple of nice clumps, is the pellitory.
Yeah, I saw that too, but the one that clump I said had flowers on it, and it always tastes super bitter with the flowers.
Yeah, it definitely gets a little bitter.
Yeah, like it was like bright, and in the way, if we see it in a shade,
it's not too bad.
That we'll see. Look at that.
That's a beautiful patch, yeah.
Man.
So we talked about this a little bit earlier, so you're going to have to go back and watch. But
this is lyre leaf sage.
This is just absolutely stunning lyre leaf sage with the beautiful flowers coming up. So always. So Renee's making a smart-ass comment that we see some dollarweed down here, and we just had a well-known herbalist make a post about Gotu Kola, and had a beautiful picture of dollarweed instead of Gotu Kola. And then when somebody politely and very politely corrected him, he was like, no, you're wrong, instead of checking his botany.
So, like, no.
And unfortunately, it is a common mistake, even though...
Oh, it's super easy to mistake.
Yeah, nonetheless...
Should make international posts about it.
As much as we like to think we know stuff, we all have our specialties. Botany is some people's specialty, not others. But it's important that we recognize when to take a polite correction.
Especially when we're broadcasting to millions of people about using something as medicine. That it's important to make sure that we are able to say we're wrong, and it's super super easy to correct yourself. There's no shame or foul to we made a misidentification for sure. That's one of the reasons why we do this, because we talk about very common things that are going to be helpful to your entire body and not harmful, helping that our students get a really good ID when they can't come out with us, especially during this time of COVID. I will tell you, and I know I've already seen it, I said
What's
it,
that?
poison ivy,
Yeah,
crazy.
I did a nice shot of that.
So I wonder if it's because they have made this new pathway.
It's possible.
And
Yeah,
that
we
it's pissed off.
we haven't at least on camera walked out here much. It's fine.
And so I wonder, they've made this new pathway. They've really kept it up. I wonder if the ground is pissed and trying to keep us out.
Yeah, it's funny. We walk back here pretty frequently. We never see people, and we're like actually seeing live humans out here. Ooh, let's go down this path and see where.
Stay away from the edge, Bubba.
No.
This is a gator hole, you guys.
No, it's not.
It is a gator hole. That was nature trying to pull you back.
Pulling me back from the edge. Ooh, that totally is a gator hole.
We're looking at this lake called Lake Magori. Across the way is our big city. You can see the high rises.
And this is definitely a gator hole.
I know, hon.
Like you could see.
I'm a Brit. I'm a girl raised in the South.
You can see there's the where the alligator hangs his clothing. You can see a few. So
it's called a slide.
yeah, so it's not a very big gator, so you can see his footprints and some of where that's his tail drag right there. It's probably a little 6-footer somewhere around here. And is that might be Wapato, and Renee's trying to kill me now because she's calling the gators.
Be careful, it's starting to be springtime. Like for real.
I know. And that is Pickerel Weed. So those purple flowers, I'm not going to be able to get down there without getting noshed on. So this is a margin and pond plant, and in the top of the leaf stem is oftentimes you'll find a very soft-bodied worm. It's really good bass bait around here if you're freshwater fishing. And then those purple flowers are edible, and overall it's considered a cooling herb, but it should be either used topically or dollarweed. Oh, I'm sorry. No, that's Gotu Cola.
Are you sure?
Yeah.
Oh, shut your face.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, we got to get a dollarweed and do a yeah.
This is
It's
dollarweed.
No,
I
it's
mean,
not.
Gotu Cola.
Gotu Cola. And we
Sorry,
are just messing about the dollarweed. That is true Gotu Cola. Look at the venation coming from the very bottom and all the veins coming from that center space up, for sure. So this is absolutely positively erectus Gotu Cola. It looks more like a thumbprint.
See, it's upright
like
instead
a shovel.
of bent over.
It doesn't look like a fat brain. It looks like a shovel.
Mm-hmm.
There is a serration on it, but it's so bloated and fat you can't see it. It's best seen right here, so it does have a slight serration to it. Gotu Cola is an absolute positive yes for restorative and reparative tissue state of the nervous system, as well as repairing to connective tissue in the rest of the body, like a tissue trauma. It's just an absolute yes for things like attention deficit, brain fog, clear thinking, but think structurally restorative as well. That's amazing that you just found that.
I know, that's super funny.
And
this is the first time we found it out here. So Centella.
And put it next to that dollar.
Yeah, actually, yeah. Let's pick one up on the way back. So that's Centella. The true Gotu Cola, the herb of commerce, is Centella Asiatica. That was Centella erectus.
And I wouldn't have any problem using erectus.
And yeah, they're interchangeable as far as I'm concerned. Renee as well. And unfortunately, oftentimes confused with dollarweed, a common lawn weed that is used medicinally, but it is not Centella. It's hydrocola. I forget after that.
Spa, because it depends.
Yeah, there's a bunch of different
species.
species.
Argentinius, there's like several of them. But what it is true is that it's not Gotu Cola.
and not used in the same way as Gotu Cola.
It's digestive
yeah,
health.
the
and
dollarweed,
give you the
pennywort.
runs if you eat too much of it. And so you want to stick with the Gotu Cola if you're looking for neurological help or restorative tissue state, like even topically or internally for a ruptured knee or something like that. And so think restorative to the natural tissue state, and its affinity is for the nervous system, clear thinking. In fact, one of the stories Bob tells is not to use it. A story where a friend had said something about it, an Indian Ayurvedic practitioner, not to use it past 2 o'clock, or was that the Bacopa?
No, that was the Bacopa, yeah.
Because it gives you such good clear thinking is the point, that when you use those together as sisters.
It is definitely one of our cerebral tonics,
Yeah.
brain tonics. Partners really well with the Bacopa, which also grows here. We could find some Bacopa down along the lake edge.
It also is very much a doctrinous signature because it's shaped like your brain. And so it has the stem, that's your spinal cord, coming down from the base of it, and it's shaped like both hemispheres of your brain. So it's a good tell for sure. If we're out together, you guys, I'm happy to show you.
Hey, Maddie, hope you're feeling better. Ooh, yeah. Here, I'm going to zoom in on it. I figured out I can actually do that. So this vine is considered an
I
invasive
don't want poison ivy.
and a deadly poison. It's a red seed with black flowers.
So we have to do a comparison.
Oops. Oh, wait. Oh, okay.
Here. Look, y'all. I just took that off Bob's head.
There's my beads that I wear all the time.
Nature's beads.
Where Bob's beads come from.
Nature's beads. So these are seeds. Anywhere in any culture.
Pull a seed out. Show us the black part.
Any seed in any culture that is in this family.
See the black tip of it? Yeah.
Is used for protection.
Do not eat this seed. Bad things happen.
Very dangerous. There you go. I wouldn't even tell you to drill a hole in it.
Because you might drill a hole in your hand doing it.
Or you breathe in the dust from it,
Yeah.
and then you get poisoned and it can kill you. It can kill farm animals. But it also helps you have that awareness of death and cross over and come back and forth so that you can work with very critically ill people and feel protected and safe. And we do work all over the world with all different cultures, and anywhere anything in this family is grown, they say the same thing about it, that that's what it's for. So it's super interesting when we're sitting here talking about plants and I don't have my protection on, which I'm always supposed to have when I'm talking about medicine, and a big batch of it shows up right in front of us.
Well, it's funny, we didn't plant it, but we have a big patch of it growing at the school. Around the AC, there's a wire cage around the AC vents in the back. And there's a bunch of... Oh, we won't be going back the same way. Oh, well. So, yeah, it's nice that volunteered to surround the school.
Do you want to talk any more about Bidens and Sita? Like, we talk about that a lot.
Oh, yeah, it's mostly familiar faces, so I'm going to hold off on the Biden Sita talk. If we get bored, we'll talk about it some more.
I see our plants everywhere. Our protection plants are everywhere.
That's some big dollar weed. Look at the size of this sucker. Well, for anybody who saw the Go-To Cola a few minutes ago, this is not Go-To Cola. This is, let me get in the shade here so you can see it.
This is dollar weed.
This is dollar weed.
Super easy to identify in that
and
comes from the belly button.
Very round, and look at how the stem attaches in the center of the leaf.
Presentation.
And it's fully round leaf, not cut out. Here, wait, I'm going to turn it into Go-To Cola. Hold the camera for a second.
Bob's going to make this dollar weed look like a Go-To Cola. You're so funny.
Look.
Now it's a Go-To Cola.
Now it's Go-To Cola. See? That's what Go-To Cola looks like.
It's definitely not, because the veins don't travel in it correctly.
No, technicalities.
But it was a good try. And
I could fool more people this way.
And that's why we knew that is definitely not Go-To Cola, that it was dollar weed.
Sorry, we shouldn't make fun of other practitioners. We screw up all the time.
It's hypothetical. Nobody knows who we're talking about.
I've not been on this path before. This is like all
shiny. It's beautiful.
Shiny.
We're walking over a bunch of white clover, so that's like beautiful.
And I spy a willow, yes.
Let's talk about willow.
Uh-oh, we're being surrounded. Is that a butterfly? Or, oh, it's a grapevine. So this is a willow.
So we're looking at willow.
We've never talked about willow, at least not on...
We do over where the groundnut is.
Well, I was going to say, we talk about it with our students some on the camping trip. So, willow, it's funny. This was one of the very first herbs I learned on my own.
So we're talking about, you guys would talk about white willow.
Yeah, the white willow is the herb of commerce. When we look at weeping willow is actually the first plant I learned. And the weeping willow was known specifically for its high vitamin C content, and that's how I first learned it. But the way we frequently talk about willow now is about the salicylic acids in there that are where aspirin can be derived from. So this is used for reducing fevers, which tells us it's cooling. It's also...
Get it real close
Hey,
so
Josh.
everybody knows where
Oh,
it
yeah,
is.
sorry. This is
Because we're looking at a field of plants.
Yes, I know. I'm sorry. So it's used for reducing fevers and is specific for a fever with body pain. So we really look for that doctrine of signature, not doctrine, specific indication of body pain.
It doesn't mean it's limited to that. It works best for that.
But yeah,
so use it for
if somebody
anything.
says I've got a fever and body pain, you should say willow.
Yeah.
And Renee was saying it as well. The white willow bark is the herb of commerce, but all of your willows can be used. They have differing amounts, some more, some less of that unique ingredient, the salicin, in there.
And I think it's important to know that so people understand there's options in their area for bioregionalism.
And Sheila asked what we might use clover for. And so first we have to say that there's at least two types of clover. We use red and white.
There's many kinds of
Yeah.
clover. We were looking at the white
cool
clover
bug.
that's down here. The herb of commerce is the red clover because it's nourishing to the body and the blood. It's considered to be an alterative, which means that it is restoring or nourishing the blood and what's going on with that. It also helps to build and support our bone marrow, our cardiac health, and our circulatory health. And then the white clover is food.
Yeah.
And that it's something that you can throw into any dish, and it
Well, I
has
was gonna
lots
say,
of minerals in it. I'll go any direction you say.
Although if we
And-
go a little bit further, there is, I know, a cool tree down
And
here.
here's
Always.
a clump of
Oh yeah, there's white clover. Look at that.
white clover.
So, and it's used more, without a doubt, it's food, but it's also used for medicine. It's not as specific for the blood as the red clover is, but it is used for a variety of different issues. There's some very specific indications for it that are escaping my brain at the
Lots
moment.
of mineralization, and so anytime that we need mineralization, we have several things going on. We have a restorative effect, but most of our signaling and our hormones are off of minerals, and so always keeping that in check is a really important thing. So as a foraged food, I just think it's important to understand that that's a possibility and that that's there for you. So you can eat it.
Thanks,
You can eat it.
Casey. Oh, and hey, Casey, congrats. I saw you launching your herbal consultation, healthcare practitioner.
Your business.
Yeah, super exciting.
Very fun.
You know what we didn't talk about on the willow, not to backtrack, was some of the spiritual use of, and also some of the traditional use in basket weaving. It's due to its flexibility and strength.
So when you are learning plants from an indigenous apprentice standpoint, you have to get to know the plant as a human being, not to denigrate it, but as a human being, you get to know its personality way before you know its medicine, because if you know its personality, you know its medicine. And what willow is known for is compromise, learning to bend without breaking, being super sturdy, super strong, being able to carry heavy weights without breaking under the burden of that. So making those adjustments for the weather, for other people, bending without breaking. That's its main personality characteristic.
And you know, Sheila said that all the places she buys herbs are out of red clover. It's funny, and no particular reason. It's not like the magical cure for COVID or anything. The reality is, this time of year, it becomes harder and harder to source a lot of our plants, and so I think we're actually, I think we're pretty good stocked in red
Right,
clover, but I
so-
won't swear to that. But it's the end of the season, so
I was going to say that I can explain that.
the fall harvest was our last harvest, unless we start to go across the equator, which we generally don't get our herbs from there. It's not cost effective. So we're down to our last stores that were harvested.
As the new ones are starting to come, and
So we tend to see it's still perfectly good product, but it's usually a little darker in color, a little browner, because it's got another 6 months to a year total sellable time or usable time before it oxidizes too far. So
really-
we'll start to get our new crops in usually around June or July. Then we'll see these beautiful fresh crops.
Our weather's a little weird this time too, so we might be seeing them sooner.
Let's hope.
And so we have that springtime coming. Our clover starts popping up immediately. Clover, chickweed, and cleavers. All of our nourishing stuff starts to come this way, and at the tail end of it will be oat straw, all the things that are made to build, and then we hope to harvest and store and make medicine for the rest of the year until the next season comes. So that's why people are out.
Well, and you know, it's funny, and I don't think the big companies can do this, but some of our major suppliers that we normally source our herbs from on a wholesale basis, they're out. And so we
have friends.
Well, and that's kind of it. We have some friends that have small farms that are organic or using biodynamic organic practices, that it's not worth it. The price is a little bit more expensive. So it's not worth it for big people like Mountain Rose or Star West to source them. Oh, you know, we got to go explore this path. I don't know what's down here.
They're making something out in here.
And so we're able to get some really, like we've just had some of the most beautiful stinging nettles and calendula from a small farm out in California, I think, that she's in an area where she's able to grow year round. And she only has a couple of acres and just grows very specific herbs and doesn't have a large distribution network. So she had some left over for us. So.
That's beautiful stuff too.
So, you know, we try whenever we can. If it's just a small increase, we actually don't pass that on to the consumer for our retail sales.
Because she's so specific and precise, we know it's really trustworthy thing. She'll grow right for us if we need to. And she's out in the Oregon area.
Is that St. John?
Yeah, that is St. John's Wort. Beautiful.
So
That's St.
we
John's
don't see St. John's Wort out here a lot, and this is just a beautiful specimen.
They are so pretty.
So
Interesting.
this is not the herb of commerce, and so there's a great debate of all of us Florida folks.
Do you see one I can pop? So I can try to see.
Yeah.
So whether or not we can use it, what I will tell you is
This one maybe.
The key is that I can get the oil or get the tincture to turn red. I've got it to turn iced tea brown.
Yeah.
So it's not that it's wrong. We just don't know. We don't have the studies on it. So talk to them about what St. John's Wort is.
So St. John's Wort, when we get the usual herb of commerce.
This whole thing is
Oh God, yeah, that's beautiful. This is like only the second time we've seen that out here. St. John's Wort, it's not the herb for depression. It's used primarily, if we're going to use it internally, for nerve pain or nerve damage. It can also be used topically for that, or what's known as melancholia. I like to describe it. Yeah, and just like you saw that beautiful yellow flower, I always think of it as the Eeyore syndrome. And boy, there's a bunch of little burrow holes from the armadillos, yeah. And we always say it's like, unfortunately, the St. John's Wort is a very well-researched herb. It does have some issues that there is potential herb-drug interactions with it, so we discourage people from using it if they're on any prescription and drugs, and that specifically includes birth control. So it does interfere with birth control. For better or worse, we have one of our students has St. John's Wort babies.
I'll say they're St. John's Wort twins.
Yes. And she's an acupuncturist now. I think she's taken all of her boards and practice. Ooh, that's blackroot.
Yes, it is.
Oh my God.
What I would call a kind of rabbit tobacco.
So this doesn't have the classic flower stalk on it,
yet.
but this is called blackroot, and this
Is important.
yeah, not a common seen plant. Oh, I'm so glad we wandered out here. I want to explore and turn off the camera. No, I know. I know it for cough. What do you know it for?
Beating people and chasing the demons away.
Well, there you go.
Off of them.
Demon chaser. There's usually almost a rattlesnake rattle flower comb on the top that's really cool looking.
Yeah, I would use it for.
Y'all have to pardon.
Yeah.
This is a new area of the park for us to explore. I've only been out here a few times and not in a couple of years, actually. And so you're learning these plants as we wander along and try to remember what the heck they are.
It looks like they
I
just
wanna walk
put
out in that field.
So we should pick 1 or 2 more plants and be done.
Okay, fine. It's way too much fun to play in the
let's
woods.
pick another plant and show everybody what's going on. So I see firebush. I see a small lizard's tail-y thing, or a...
What was it? I saw something. I was going to say, ooh, we can talk about this on the way back. Oh, I saw.
There's elder. There's geranium.
I saw a nice. Oh, let's find one on the way back. There was
What?
mulberry. It's mulberry season started up.
So if we start to come back to the left.
So I'm just going to say real fast. Yeah, this is the geranium Renee just said. This is crane's beak. It's Herb Robert in on the back in Europe.
You always say that. I've never heard that.
Well, that's because we're not in Europe.
And I think you just do it because it's Robert.
Totally, that's my herb. It's for my hemorrhoids.
Yes,
No.
obviously. So what is a good use for that geranium, Bob?
So it's for a sitz bath is its primary use, although it can be used internally.
So what's this?
As you sits your ass in it, so
Oh my
you can
gosh,
put.
It's not. It's S-I-T-Z.
No, you sit your ass in it.
Okay.
So
That's not
it
what
can
it's
be
called.
used as an astringent herb. And astringent herbs can be used for anything from varicose veins to hemorrhoids. And
So astringent herbs return tone to a tissue or tissue state and repair it and restore it to its original state of being. So if you had varicose veins falling out of your legs, or if you had bleeding gums, or
oh
if
yeah,
you
it's great for
had-
that too as a mouthwash.
Yep, if you had hemorrhoids, it tightens that up where it's all stretched.
So some of you are just getting on here, I know, but like this is just an amazing collection of the. This is an amazing collection. This is a whole meal just in one little.
See me eat it.
There's a close-up of Renee's nose and mouth. This is Smilax.
I'm eating another one. You can film it again.
Tis the season for harvesting lots of Smilax.
Y'all, Smilax is so good.
The
It's so
fresh
yummy.
shoots are awesomeness. They're food, they're medicine, and we can dig up the roots of that and use that as a stronger herb only, not snacks.
So we were talking about geranium, but Bob got fixated on how big
It was an amazing collection.
Smilax was, 'cause I'm about to get a piece of, look at asparagus.
Dang.
Look at. I hope there's no bugs on it.
That's extra protein and fat for
So
you.
good.
You know, the World Health Organization says that we're one of the few cultures that don't eat bugs,
Enough bugs.
and that they are a phenomenal source of both protein and fat.
I feel bad. I don't want to eat a bug.
Well, you know,
It's like I don't want to eat a dog.
you'll stomp that booger, but you don't want to eat them,
I
huh?
won't stomp it. I'll shoo it out the door. I captured a mosquito and let it outside 2 nights ago.
Foolish mortal.
Yes. I can't help it. I have sympathy. And so we're in Florida at this place called Boyd Hill. Our students come out here to learn.
And who the heck are we?
Renee and Bob, Tradition School of Herbal Studies.
Follow us on YouTube, the Tradition School of Herbal Studies on
We do
YouTube.
this all the time, so you can see lots of things about lots of plants if you choose to continue your mission.
And check out our website, traditionsherbschool.com. You can sign up for our newsletter so we can occasionally spam you.
And tonight, Friday night,
Ooh, yeah, what's tonight?
we have Herbs for Digestion. That's a free class, both in person and online. But you must go and sign up so that we
It will be
account
on
for
Zoom.
you in person.
Yeah,
we will
especially
be on
in person.
Zoom, and you'll receive a link.
And I think we've got like probably 40 people now signed up, so we may be about full in person because we do have to practice some social distancing and all that good stuff.
But sign up, let Trisha know, and
But we'll be live on Zoom, I believe.
I'll be moderating, so I'll be spitting out answers left and right for anybody who needs questions. about how to deal with your digestive health from a
And for any
herbal
of you who are my crazy Chinese students, or you're an acupuncture student, one of the things we're going to be talking about will be kind of a short version of what I'll be presenting at the Florida State Oriental Medicine
that would be
conference. Yeah, FASOMA conference coming up in August, where we're going to be talking about weak stomach qi, which is we'll touch on those ideas of gastric insufficiency, except I'll use way nicer names.
Gastric insufficiency.
As well as low HCl, hydrochloric acid, and some other issues. And we'll look at
gastric insufficiency.
Yes, your gastric juices are not cutting the mustard, literally.
You're funny.
Bad medicine jokes.
Yes,
but we'll be looking tonight at some specific herbs that can be helpful for something like that. Hey Joel, what up, man? Hope you're joining us tonight for me to babble about crazy digestive stuff.
So I think that we should sign off for now because we spoke to you about so many things and I feel like we can be overwhelmed.
One more plant.
No, we're good. I just ate a bunch of Smilax. Go back and review and send us any questions. Plus I'll be moderating tonight, so shoot me questions in there.
Oh, and don't forget about the flower essence class this weekend. So there's still space for that. If you're not familiar with flower essences, it is one of Renee's specialties. And it's kind of homeopathy, but specifically focusing on mental emotional issues and past trauma.
For dealing with physical things as well.
Yeah, and yeah, that's true. It does help with pain. I've used that for some chronic pain issues that are phenomenal. So it'll be a beginning class starting this weekend, and then for people who want to go on, there's a 3-part series that works towards certification. Oh, you know what?
What?
I don't see any park rangers. Let me get a.
What are you doing?
Let me go get a palmetto.
God, no.
Hopefully not with a rattlesnake.
So please don't ever do this. If you're ever in a park that's a public park, you are not to be harvesting anything for any reason.
Ooh, this is
and palmetto. Not only that, that's where rattlesnakes live. That's a no, Bob. That means the plant says no. Palmetto. If you guys didn't know, in the scheme of herbalism and asking for your medicine, when a plant doesn't come right out of the ground for you, it's saying no. Bob's ignoring those directions and looking for palmetto for you. So saw palmetto and sable palm we would make something called swamp cabbage with. And Bob just got a piece to eat. That yellow part that he's walking back with, allegedly, is just like kind of eating a little version of hearts of palm. Be careful because I can still see some thorny pieces. So yum, yum, yum.
And
toothbrush.
There's added benefits.
Oh,
Keeps the mosquitoes and flies off of Renee.
If you ever are doing our overnight field study with us or our foraging, we'll talk to you about what to eat and what not to eat and how to do that. And
so
that's
saw
part
palmetto,
of our school.
you can see there's these saw teeth right here. I don't know if you can zoom in on that. And also when we look at how the stem attaches to the palm, it's a blunt tip.
Not a point.
Right. Oh
like,
yeah, perfect.
Like this.
So
that's a sable.
Yeah.
And that's a saw.
So this is the one that we get the seeds off of that are good for BPH, benign prostate hyperplasia. But we can use it for more than just dudes with an enlarged prostate. It helps to process out the dehydrotestosterone, just kind of the used up testosterone. So we can use it for anything from male pattern baldness, both topically and internally, enlarged prostate. It makes available the free testosterone, so it will appear to have some sexual function and libido benefits. It's not raising the testosterone.
Don't you think it's just normalizing and regulating properly, putting you back to where you were supposed to be?
It's making it more available rather than increasing the amount.
And let me bring up something from what you just said, because it's a new concept, especially with the concept of herbs are for this.
Yeah.
Just because Bob said it's prostate health doesn't mean it's just for males.
That's what I was going to say.
Okay.
The PCOS, polycystic ovarian syndrome that we see in women, that can cause infertility, weight gain, increase in body hair,
loss of hair on the head, but increase somewhere else. Yeah.
And basically they start to accumulate some of the male sexual characteristics like body hair and so forth. And reality is one of the characteristics of PCOS is an increased level of testosterone and oftentimes infertility. And so women aren't as effective at clearing out the used up testosterone, the dehydrated testosterone. And so using saw palmetto specifically for that imbalance can be really helpful in addressing some of the symptoms, especially working towards fertility.
So,
if they want to have a
so
kid.
the concept, everybody, of the fact that all living creatures have endocrine systems and that we need to have our hormones regulated properly. So when we have these hormones go awry, male, female, or in between, this can be a helpful plant to know about to regulate some of that.
So make sure you subscribe to our YouTube channel, Traditions Herb School, and follow us. Watch all the videos. We got a bunch of our herb walks and a bunch of other stuff. We're going to work in the next week or so. We're going to try to get a bunch more, so we're posting every week to the YouTube channel. And hopefully you can come out on one of our herb walks. We got a bunch of fun classes. Digestive health tonight, which we better get home.
Flower
and start
essence
work
this
on.
weekend.
Flower essences. We've got a 101. We've got Herb Day coming up on May 1st.
Woohoo!
Hell yeah. That's another free event that is
Largest
herbalist,
herb day on the eastern seaboard.
right? So we're super excited to have that at the clinic at 2520 Central Avenue.
St. Petersburg, Florida.
Yowza. And I don't know, we got a bunch of other free classes. We got a 101 for anybody who wants to explore the Western herbal side of things. We've got the foundations for people who've taken the 101 with us. It's starting May 22nd. And so, see y'all later. Enjoy the weather. It's a beautiful day.
Here you go. And just those questions.